Well, I want to introduce Adam S. And I'm so excited that he's here. Adam graciously accepted the invitation to speak several months ago. I was so excited to have him as a speaker for our meeting. I've heard him speak. He's an extraordinary speaker with an amazing recovery story. And he does incredible service for our fellowship in general. He is part of what's called the Sober Eating Group out of Los Angeles. And they do terrific work for our fellowship, talking about very practical ways to think about food. It's very fascinating. And I now give you Adam S. Go ahead, Adam.
Thank you, Nancy. Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I had some technical difficulties, so I'm on my wife's iPad, and I see my name there, and that's cool. I guess she has a background. I never knew that. I'm grateful it's not March 13th, because I would have for sure screwed up the time difference. So I'm glad it's not. I'm glad it's the end of January, because that if there's somebody speaking on March 13th Sunday, it's tricky. But I want to say, Nancy, your follow-up and checking in was unprecedented. So I got many reminders, and I really appreciate it, and was really asked to direct my talk to this thing called sober eating. Punchline: there's no such thing as sober eating. Punchline, right? I'll get right to it. Just read the doctor's opinion, and which I know is read in this space often, and it's just an understanding of what it means to have a sober experience with food, and to have a relationship with food that is where I'm in a position of neutrality, not fighting anything. And kind of my story around that, I'll start. So I've been in Overeaters Anonymous. I went the first time when I was in my early 20s in Chicago. I came to hear about it after years of being really the heavy kid. I was always the heaviest one in the class, and I don't know if some people have the story of being athletes and then gaining weight. I was not an athlete, and I wasn't not an athlete, but I certainly was the heavy kid. And I found food early on, and it doesn't really matter why. Your guess is as good as mine. I have some ideas about why I found the ease and comfort early on. All I can say is I found it, and I really like food. I mean, I really like food. I mean, I really still love food. I just do, it's my thing. It's just, I look forward to it. I look forward to dinner. When dinner's over, I'm gonna be looking forward to breakfast, right? And I'm gonna look forward to whatever I can have. And that's so early on, I found this thing that I liked, and I kept looking forward to it, and I wanted more of it, and I wanted more of it, and I wanted more of it. And I'm one of 6 children, and everybody wanted to eat. All of them wanted to eat. Some of them wanted to eat more too, right? And I had parents, and they had things going on. When I was 5, there was this really like earthquake in my home, so to speak. My mom, it was pre-ultrasound-ish. I guess the nature of pregnancies with my younger brother, twin brothers, wasn't. She didn't know that she was going to be premature and having twins, and she delivered prematurely, and my brothers were very sick, and it was just a shock. Where I come from, that was a big deal. It was a big deal then, and it just shocked the system. So does that have anything to do with anything? I don't know, but I definitely know this: I found food, and so while everybody else was looking for more, I had to look for more better. So I was really good at finding more. And early on, I learned how to find more food, eat more than my share, And if it meant me lying and just finding a way to get it, I would. So when you're sleeping, I'll eat. That's to the parents. When you're not looking, I'll sneak. And I'm just going to find it when I'm invited over to friend's house. I'm just going to be all over the food. And what that led to is a long time of what I call very, very disturbing type of eating, right? I don't want you to see the footage. I don't want to watch it. So I don't want to watch the movie of me eating, right? Because it was just so determined and urgent. And I had no idea. Neither did anyone else, right? Like, so a lot of us grew up in an age where I certainly didn't know what it meant to have an obsession of the mind and an allergic response, right? Nobody said to me, hey, I just want you to realize, Adam, this is your obsession, right? Nobody, when I was growing up, said, we're going to go to the doctor and we're going to talk about the obsession and how, the first drink gets you drunk. Nobody said that to me as a kid. They did say to me, stop it, stop it. And I said to me, stop it, right? And I couldn't stop. And I tried. I would try. I thought it would be a good idea to stop because I didn't like the symptoms. And I didn't like, what I understood as the symptom then was just excess weight, right? That was the symptom. That was the symptom I for sure hated the most, right? I hated that the most, that being the heavy kid and what it meant for me, right? What I interpreted that to mean is there's a party that I'm not invited to, and it hurts. It hurts me deeply that I'm not invited to that party of the rest of the world, right? I also failed to realize that it also crowds my life so much that I wasn't good. Some of you were very good at this. I was not good at functioning in other areas of life. So it crowded my ability to participate in other areas because it was just too important. So I'm not good at being high and at living, right? And I am high on food, right? And I wasn't good at it. I just wasn't good at making room for food and life at the same time. And I was so busy with it that I just didn't do the things early on that needed to get done. And I don't think my family was in a place of understanding. How could they understand that? Or they were just dealing with their own stuff too. They had this big earthquake. So I kind of was like in this like world of that looked functional, but it was completely, I was really self-will run riot early on. And I was just I ran my own show, and I found a way to do what I want, how I want. And I learned how to just figure out how to scam and get what I need to get it done and just get by. And I wanted the attention. I wanted it so badly. I wanted the validation. I wanted recognition. I wanted to say I'm competent at things. I wanted so many things that I wasn't able to get. And I really do believe it was the disease. It was the disease that was just so active in me that that cost me a lot early on. And so I fought, like, okay, if I lose weight, I'm going to be fine. So people like me are sent programs early on, and they're all great, right? All those programs are great until they stop working. And because I always want more, that's who I am. And as I get bigger, right, I get bigger and bigger and bigger, my world gets smaller. And I wanted you to like me, so I learned and I wanted you to like me and not notice my disease. That was really important to me, that you don't notice that I'm the biggest guy in the room. So I had to, I thought, this idea of unmanageability, I thought I would manage my food, and I thought I'd manage you too, right? So the step one is just so profoundly important to me. What does unmanageability mean? This illusion that I'm managing you and my food or anything else is the biggest delusion I have, that I think I can manage, right? And when we get here and when we're willing, at least for me, it's when I have no belief that I can manage anymore. I've admitted to myself that there's no universe where and I can only see this through the lens of food, right? I can only see this through the lens of my eating that I can't manage. I can't manage my food, can't manage my life, right? But it's the food that takes me there. So I thought I'd manage you by making you like me and by accommodating you. And I learned that if I'm dishonest with my food, I can be dishonest with my life. So if you tell me something that's juicy information, I'll tell it to someone else just so they can like me too. And so that they won't notice my thing, right? So like a drug addict, you may put Visine in, right? Like, I don't know what I was putting in and what I was thinking, but I was trying so hard energetically. I didn't want you to see me. And when you saw me, I was devastated. When you saw me as heavy, it crushed my spirit. So if a woman wouldn't want to talk to me, it crushed my spirit. If I thought you were thinking about me, which I definitely thought you were thinking about me, even though you weren't really thinking about me nearly as much as I wanted you to think about me no matter what, but you probably just gave me a second thought and that was it. And I thought you were like writing stories about me, right? But you weren't. It hurt me. It hurt me. And I didn't have a playbook. So I tried to figure it all out. And I got older and I started to lose friendships and because of my behavior. And I didn't get along as well as I wanted to because I couldn't control you and I couldn't control me. I couldn't control my eating. I couldn't control my character defects. I didn't know I had character defects. And my character defects were part of my self-will run riot story. And I kept getting bigger. My life kept getting smaller. I managed to finish school and even graduate school. And I was living in Chicago, and thank God for this professor I had. And he said, he saw me just getting huge, and he said, I have an ethical obligation to tell you that I think you have a problem with food. I'm like, oh, no shit, right? Like, like, wow, what a profound insight, I thought to myself. And I said, I know I do. He said, I think you're a food addict. And I was like stunned. Maybe I was like 24 and I'm like, I was stunned by that. Like, what are you talking about? And I said, I'm not an alcoholic. And I had an image of alcoholism as like Skid Row bum alcoholic. And I'm like, what does it have to do with food? I said, I have to eat. He said, not like that. And it went, so all of a sudden, right, I got my first exposure to what it means. You have to eat, but not like that, not in that disturbing way. And I held it for a second. And he said, you can go to a spiritual program, or you can go to this local blue collar men's program. I think that's there too. I've heard good things about it. I'm like, a spiritual program. I'm like, I'm going to go to the men's program. So I didn't go to the spiritual program right away, but that's the first time I heard it. But I want to backtrack a little bit. I think the first action of recovery for me happened when I was 19 years old, and I didn't know what 12-step was, and I didn't know what addiction was. And I was smoking, drinking, eating, and I was smoking cigarettes and ashing all over myself and ashing on the floor and just like ashing in my bed and not caring. And somebody said to me, hey, somebody who cared, this one guy, I haven't seen him in years. He said, why don't you just like start brushing your teeth? And I said, okay. I said, he's right. I got to do something. I got to take one action, not idea. I took an action. And I think that has value, right? I didn't know what a big book was. I didn't know what a program was. I didn't meet any alcoholics or overeaters then, but I took an action. Then those years later, somebody told me what addiction was. And I ran to the hills when he said a spiritual program. Then I went to that program in Chicago, and it was great. And there were men losing weight, and they were cheering each other on. And there were men keeping off weight, and there were men taking off weight. And they sent me there, and they said, send Adam to the cattle scale. I'm like, I went to a cattle scale, and I sat with the people taking off weight. And it was good. It was really good. Funny blue collar guys. One guy I remember, I like to tell the story. I remember from that program, he shared that he woke up and he remembers coming home drunk, and he was so lazy, he just dumped the tuna fish into a mayonnaise jar, and he ate the whole thing, just a whole jar, and then when he woke up, his wife said, "Who ate the cat food?" And so I found that completely entertaining at the time, but I couldn't stay because I had to eat. See, I could stop, I just couldn't stay stopped. Then I went to Overeaters Anonymous in Chicago, And I thought, man, I don't go to groups, I give groups. And they seem angry. And I remember this guy like handed me a big book, he said he'd sponsor me. I didn't read it. And some guy tore out of a meeting. You hear like the car screeching, him slamming into somebody else's bumper, and he was so angry. I'm like, these people are messed up. I can't hear it from them, right? I'm so smart, I can't hear it from them. And then I stopped going, right? I said, oh, I've been there before. I've done that program, as if I've done it, right? I've never done it. Then I went again a few years later. I moved back to LA and I went. And this time I didn't say I don't go to groups. I give groups. I don't go to groups. I just said they all seem like ladies, and it smelled, and I didn't relate. And I heard them talking about food, and it didn't add up. And then I went on like the best like money could buy, in my opinion. I had access to like the guy at the academic center who's awesome, who writes about obesity, and and my insurance paid for like all this stuff, right? I had everything but a chef, and I thought this time's going to be different, and really determined. And there was a time where I thought that I'd write a book about myself in graduate school and chronicle my weight loss. I even got some professors to be available to share that experience, right? But I couldn't do it because I never started it. But I had lots of ideas about, I was going to write, There Is a Solution by me, right? I wanted to write There Is a Solution, and I couldn't write that. And so this time, I thought I had the specialist to end all specialists. And I also simultaneously had a field placement in the work that I do with a woman who was my mom's age and a man who was my dad's age. And I know one thing for sure, I thought they were smarter than me. I just had a sense that they knew more. And the woman was a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the man was a member of this program. I didn't know that right away. And I remember going to the man, and I just I listened to him talk. He had such clarity. He had such good ideas. And I said to him, I'm like, you talk about things like you kind of get, I'm so heavy, and I just get this sense things. He's like, you're right. I used to be over 100 pounds overweight. I said, no way. I said, what do you do? He said, I never deviate. I'm like, you never have frozen yogurt? He's like, nope. And I thought to myself in my glory, what the fuck does he know? Like, I'm sitting there, I'm 300 pounds. He's telling me what works. And I'm saying to him, what do you know? And that's how my disease works. But this time, after I'm going to the specialist and I'm working with these two people, right? I'm on the specialist diet to end all diets. I'm 29 years old. I'm getting tired. And I just remember on November 8th, 1998, I walked into the grocery store and I just did what I do. Nothing special. I just devoured the bakery section in my car, like a praying mantis. If you ever see like whoosh, like fast, nobody's watching. I learned how to eat really fast. And I got to work on November 9th, 1998. And the woman who's in Alcoholics Anonymous said to me, what's wrong? I said, I can't. She said, what is wrong? I said, I can't stop eating. I don't know why that time devastated me. I had a window, right? We all have windows. And she said a number of things. She said, we're going to a meeting. In those days, you had to pick up the phone and we had to call the directory. She called, she got a meeting in Los Angeles in Woodland Hills. It's defunct now. And I said, why are you doing this for me? And she said, this is what we do in the program. I remember that. I said, thank you. She said, don't you thank me, Pate. You're going to do this for somebody else. Okay. And it hit me. And then she said, we get to the meeting. She raised her hand, strong Italian, firecracker of a woman. She just said, my mom's age, Italian. And she just said, Adam wants to share. And she said, tell them what you told me. I said, I can't stop eating. And that was November 9th, 1998. And then she said, just go to meetings and don't eat no matter what, and just watch trashy movies. And I'm like, okay. And I tried. I said, okay, I'm going to make the plan again. I'm going to eat 4 times a day. And everybody was so loving in Overeaters Anonymous. They were so loving. And on November 15th, I turned 30. And I have 23 years. Now I turned 30 on November 15th. And I was being celebrated, and there was a cake, tiramisu cake. I never had it before. So I did what I do. I grabbed it like a praying mantis, thinking nobody saw. I shoved it in my pants, sticky, and I ate it, stuck my face in the bathroom, right? So here we're going to get to my program and what I think I hope I can be helpful. God help me, right? That this is helpful for people, right? And I came and I stuffed my face, And I came back to Overeaters Anonymous. Back then I heard a lot of, this is what I heard. It may not have been what was said, but all I heard things like, don't worry, Adam, we love you no matter what. Don't worry, Adam, that's okay. If you're on your way to New York and you get a flat tire in Arizona, don't worry about it. Just, why would you go back to LA? I heard things. And then somebody had the decency to tell me, Adam, that's called being drunk in this program. You're drunk when you shove tiramisu in your pocket, thinking nobody's looking, and you devour it and it's all over you and it's sticky. That's an activity of being drunk in this program. And I was listening. I just said, oh my, and he said, he taught me, he ended up being my sponsor, the guy I work with. And he said, here's what I think for you. And this is what I did. So I didn't make this up. It's his experience. He said, ask anybody on the planet you trust about how you should eat, as long as it's not you. You're fired. You're like a person who's been like, you have to go to the mental hospital. You're not, you've lost your rights when it comes to matters food. And that just opened me up to how to make a beginning here. And I needed that, because here's what the sober experience is. The sober experience is, it's obvious I'm addicted to food substance. I'm addicted to everything food, everything, quantity, times, ideas about it, anything food. If I have a vote, my addiction, right? My obsession starts to have ideas. And he told me, get out of your way, corner this thing, be willing to have this thing cornered, and you will have a sober experience here. But as long as I have a vote, right? As long as I have a vote, I will always choose food, always, right? Because that means I'm giving my disease room, right? If my disease is still active here, in other words, I'm abstaining from sugar. I heard so much in program. I heard permission to eat. That's just the way my brain goes. Does that person have a program that has permission to eat? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But when I hear food plan abstinence, I hear, oh, does that mean I can eat? When I hear floating fruit, I mean, I picture like a floating, I was grabbing all the fruit. I'll eat fruit like cocaine, right? I'll eat fruit like cocaine. Do anything to get more food. So where can I eat more food? My meals are getting bigger, but the recovery is. Does that mean I can practice my addiction? Is that the place I have room to be addicted? So for me, sober experience around food was really important. And there began November 30th, 1998. I found somebody, I just did whatever they said. It doesn't even matter, right? Yes, it's important to identify the substances, right? There's a guy like me who's well over 100 pounds overweight, has no business eating pizza, French fries, cookies, cake, right? Of course I can't eat that, right? I snort that, right? But I take it a level further, right? I can't have a vote because I'm always looking. That's the way the obsession.
You have about 7 minutes left.
The obsession and expression is done for me, is manifested in me. So I began that, and I kept saying the same share over and over again, right? And in the time left, just to reflect on what that means to me today, it took me a long time to realize that my unmanageability, step one, was not just about the food, that I was trying to manage everything, right? And that ultimately power, right? I found power in those two people. It started, I heard them. For some reason, I said yes to them. They were my power. They were the power greater than myself that got me to say yes. Then the group became the power. Oh my God, Overeaters Anonymous has something that I need. I need them more than they need me. That's where power is. And over the year, right, sanity, being restored to sanity, I found power. I found power beyond the group of Overeaters Anonymous. I don't know exactly what that is, but I know it's not me, and I know it's there. And in my efforts to manage, right, everything, right, I've created a lot of wreckage, right? And my story, that's nonsense. Most of my story is nonsense. Includes a lot of low self-esteem, fear, intense resentment, right? Self-pity, right? And all the things that we have, right? That once I'm willing to live this life, right? I got to look at, right? And so the other thing you taught me here is that I can't keep secrets. So that admission part of step one, right, doesn't just apply to step one, right? I have to live with a GPS on what goes in my mouth and what comes out of my mouth and what I do, right? There's somebody in this world of Overeaters Anonymous has to know my every move, right? Because I wreak havoc. So, and I create regrets and through my character defects. So this inventory process that we have, right? This ability to say the truth of my story and look at myself, right? You taught me what's my part in it. That was something, if I were writing there as a solution, I never would have thought what's my part in it would have been part of any solution I have for my problem. But it's such an important statement. What's my part in it? And then you taught me that I have to have you in step 5. I can't just do it solo with God. And you taught me that I'm not the manager of my character defects, just like I'm not the manager of my food. And that it gets removed, not because I'm so great, but because I'm graced. And that my problem goes far beyond food, far beyond food. And you taught me that I have to show up nicely and not bite everybody. And when I bite people, I have to clean up my messes, because my disease taught me how to get you before you get me, because I don't want you to notice my heaviness. So I have a bite and I have to clean that up, and I have to act with integrity. And this is all a work in progress, all a work in progress for me. And you taught me that I have to have a practice in step 10 and 11 and 12, a practice of how to do these things on the regular, right? It's not a once in a while thing. So that someone like me has to have a prayer and meditation practice. Someone like me has to have a form of acknowledging what stands between me and God every day, right? It's always going to be for me some sort of fear, mostly, and some resentment sometimes, right? But fear, oh my gosh, fear and self-pity and low self-worth every time. And you taught me that I have to help others. So I have a few minutes left. I'm not the guy I walked in. I say this often, I wouldn't hire me. I wouldn't want me as a son, husband, father, friend, employee. I wouldn't want me for anything. And I'd pick me these days. You get a decent product, right? After years and years and years, right? And I have so much more to go. I kind of feel like I know less as time goes on. Like I know that there were times where I spoke with such conviction about the way to do this. You know, this is the way and everything else isn't the way. I have a lot of sponsees in that I don't know. I just kind of know what works for me. I don't have a outstanding conviction that what I've just said is the way, but it is a reflection of my experience. And I offer strength and hope. And by accident, I stumbled upon being a busy guy, and I collected 100-pounder men. I don't work with women. I don't want to confuse this thing. I don't work with people who aren't 100-pounders because I don't feel like I have the same level of experience to give them. I really feel like I can help people who know what it's like to be advanced in this disease as men. And I started talking about, hey, this is what a sober experience looks like around food. This is what neutrality looks like. I'm not in a fight anymore with food. It's done. I'm not, if you tell me I have to eat less, I have a range. I can obsess on weight too. So I like to stay in a range. I like to be in a healthy body weight because if I'm not, I'm in that obsession space. As long as I'm moving towards obtaining and maintaining a healthy body weight, not just because it's going to prevent my heart, but because my addiction gets launched and am I doing this right? All that negotiation stuff. So I have a group of men, somehow this idea of freedom around food became a discussion. And the men that I work with respond to the idea that there's such thing as being sober around a food experience. And yeah, that's my story. I help people, and they help people. And it's not, and I just want to be really clear, there is not just, everybody has different experiences here. I still go to meetings. I still sponsor people. Nothing has really, I haven't relaxed the standards. And I don't know that there is a way or the way, but I know that this has worked for me. And I hope that helped. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Thanks for letting me share.